Alrighty, we are live. Yep. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coaching with Gyoza Planet, where you guys send me your gameplays or gameplay videos, and I review them and help you guys get better at them. Today's game is Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, and we have a player by the name of Birb, or Lord Birb, as you can see in the upper top left. And from what I know, they're a pretty skilled player. Tends to play decently aggressively, good aim, questionable grenade skills. I know this because this is the third time doing this recording because technical issues, yay. But yeah, anyways, we'll get into it and we will see how they play. The notepad is already filled out, obviously, because I've done this already, so that's why, but I will illustrate each point as we get to it. Yeah. Also, quick notice for anybody watching this, I'm going to start doing more variety content. It's going to be the same thing as I normally do here, where I break down gameplays and everything, but it's going to be different games that aren't just Totally Accurate Battlegrounds. I'll be doing Delta Force, I'll be doing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the original game. I'll be doing Call of Duty Warzone, pretty much a variety of FPS games. So if you guys have a game that you play and you struggle in, send me your gameplays. Anyways, so Area 64. Right, you land in, you grab yourself a VSS, and you grab yourself a P90. And you hear someone reloading. And so you know that they're there, and you pop a battle cry. Well done. Good situational awareness. Okay, so now you jump back down, and you grab your stuff. And you're not grabbing the grenades, which might make sense later on. Right now, you really need those grenades, and I will get to Birb's grenade problem in the future, because it is, it's annoying. It's complicated, mostly. Okay, so you're grabbing a ton of loot and everything. You have a spray blessing. This spray blessing is going to stay on for most of the match. It's also going to be a problem for most of the match. And we will see eventually why. Same guy before, missed him, VSS, and good shots. Well done. Alright, so you're stacked up on ammo, stacked up on loot, and you still keep looting, even. Okay. So here, gunfight, so up on your speeds for cardio. Good idea so you have health during the fight, especially because you have you move faster because of speed. You jump up. Fantastic spray. Auto bow whizzing by your head. Go for the foot lock, and then you just burst him down. Good shots, fantastic moves. Going for flintlock, bit risky, but if you do land it, usually you can close out a fight pretty much as soon as you fire, so it's worth the risk of missing. Gonna go down a bit for sure. Just loot a bit. You come back. You come back again. These people are cursing you out, and you loot again. So I'm going to address the grenade problem now. You will notice that Birb is very selective about the grenades he picks. There are about 8-ish that he consistently uses and everything, and it also seems to be inconsistent which he grabs, because I've seen him leave a normal grenade behind, and I've also seen him grab like 3 normal grenades later on in a match. This is not very good, mainly because grenades are one of the most powerful tools they have aside from blessings. They're very good at controlling areas, pinning down your enemies, harassing your enemies, like with an implosion grenade. In general, incredibly deadly, incredibly important to have. So the fact that you're very selective about your grenades isn't necessarily bad. A lot of people do this. For example, Beater, common player that I do reviews about and stuff like that, also tends to be very picky with grenades. He doesn't use smoke or stun grenades, for example, or Tab G's stun grenades. They're flashbangs. But that's mainly because it doesn't really suit his very aggressive playstyle and everything. The problem is that you are picky about your grenades, but you're also inconsistent about your grenades, and that's not good because there are scenarios where having like a smoke grenade on you might be helpful, but if you're picking a smoke grenade because of vibes or because of an inconsistent reason, the way that you use your grenades and the results that you get with them is very wishy-washy because you're never actually putting good practice in with those grenades. You're never running into the same scenarios when you have those grenades. Every single time you run into a fight, you have a different assortment of grenades. That's how the game works, but instead of knowing that, okay, I have an implosion, a standard grenade, and a shield grenade I can rely on, sometimes you'll have implosion cluster shield, sometimes you'll have implosion shield, implosion grenade wall, stuff like that. I'll try and explain it later on, but that's the main point. And in the notepad, usually this is the point I had originally. Most of the time, especially now in the early game, you want to grab grenades, and especially in this first fight, it doesn't really matter if you don't really like the grenades a lot or whatever. In these first couple of moments, using grenades, even if it's like a smoke grenade or something, let's say you're B, you hate smoke grenades, you never want to use them. But sometimes in the early game, if you have to cross the street and there's someone throwing shots at you and you're really low health and you know that you can't, if they see you, they will kill you, throwing a smoke grenade will let you get to across the street and be able to med pack, or use a med kit and keep fighting and everything. Because you just don't have enough other resources. You don't have enough ammo, you don't have enough blessings, you don't have enough healing items to make up for the pickiness in your grenade choice. So that's the main thing. Now, obviously, once you're well set up and everything, now you can be a bit more picky about your grenades. But even then, if you're going to be picky about your grenades, make a priority list, which is basically what are the grenades I must have, is like 3 grenades I must have, 3 grenades, or I suppose I could, hold on. Three grenades I must have, 5 grenades I like, and then the rest. Yes, my writing skills are shoddy. It is kind of difficult to write. Rest. And the thing is that if you're going to make a priority list, you need to make the list, and you need to keep the list, and you need to also follow the list. That's the key thing here. Now, obviously, the list can change. If you feel like sniping one day, you're going to have a different list than if you're playing machine gun another day. But you just need to have a plan, and you need to actually stick to the plan, because otherwise you're not going to get the same results. This good plan, bad execution, which is a theme that comes up a lot. You see a couple of people fighting, you're getting in the fight, you throw down a grenade, which is fine, that's a good way to start a fight, but then you crash land really close to the other people, and if these were any kind of competent players, actually, hold on. If these were any kind of competent players, they would see your smoke stack, they would see you dropping in, and they would immediately run over to try and kill you. And that means you'd either start the fight with them at half health or not start the fight at all because you are dead because you got shot dropping in. If you are going to do this... Oh, that's 5 seconds. Oops. If you are going to do this... hold on. Instead of crash landing right here, which is out in the open, try and crash land either behind this house, behind these rocks, if the angle can allow for it, or behind this pillar over here. Because it's still not the best solution. The best one would be like landing on a wall here. I don't know. Maybe on the other side of this ridge here, because you force them into a bad position. But right where you landed, not a good spot. Anyway, you missed a flintlock. Go for that. You miss all of your UMP bullets. As the other guy's running away, he swaps over to his buddy instead of chasing him. This is a good idea because the buddy with the Grand's a lot more deadly. Because he has good aim and he has Grand. If he leaves him alive, there's a good chance this guy will headshot Birb in the back of the head later on, and instantly kill him. Or not instantly kill him, but just kill him. hits him with the explosion, pulls the car, misses the VSS shots, misses the VSS shots, and then grabs a grenade, but it still goes off. Okay. Ice and rare health. He keeps the rare health. From what I've seen, it's mainly to deal with snipers. And then you head over into industry. Okay. You hear someone, headshot, perfect kill. Everything common vampire. We're gonna see the common vampire. That is his footage. That's not mine. I got jump scared too. Also, yeah, you saw him right there. He does have a priority list. As I was talking before, he does not like the splinter grenades. He drops them. But and that is Agent, skilled Steam Deck Tab G player. Yes, the handheld console and everything. Unfortunately, he just gets domed. Thompson VSS. I mean, it's not the best loadout, but yeah, same thing. No, actually, hold on. I don't know if he uses bouncy. No, there you go. As you can see, he grabs a normal grenade, and if we rewind the footage, so this is 453. Hold on. Oh, it was a flashbang. Okay. He might not be... Okay, then I might need to rectify my change the point I made about having priority list. But still, it is a notable thing where he keeps some grenades and then he ditches some other ones. And also, same thing with guns and blessings and stuff like that. It's very inconsistent on what he uses. Perfect shot on this guy. Miss this guy. Get him. This should be a good time to talk about the spray blessing. The spray blessing does not work well with the Thompson and the VSS. It's a good blessing. It's very good. It increases and makes it easier to kill enemies and you kill them faster. Your gun shoots faster and everything. But these guns specifically, it does not work well with the Thompson, kind of, but the Thompson is range limited because it's some machine gun, and the VSS, it does not, because of the VSS's naturally small magazine of 20 and the naturally long reload of 2.5 seconds. AK, 30 bullets, also 2.5 seconds, but the AK has that extra 10 bullets to work with, which makes it better suited to the spray blessing. So what we'll also see later on is that his aim is actually being affected by the spray blessing because the guns have more recoil and the bullets shoot out faster. He's missing more than he normally does. So this is part of another point, which is you tend to sacrifice a lot when you make loadouts and then you don't rectify it in the future. But we will see that one when it comes to the second gameplay footage. This one, I'm going to talk about quickly. You've already been to industry. You've also already made a lot of noise in industry, which means anybody around who was going to go there, and as long as they aren't hunting kills, they're not going to go industry anymore, which means you're basically landing back onto a dead POI. It's a dead POI that you've already looted the majority of, so you spend about 25 seconds here, when instead you could have spent the 25 seconds in containers or at tall work. Keep in mind where you've been and how that affects other players' decisions where they're going to go. There's a car, you can follow the car. Car crashes. Implosion grenade. And you're just going to down the guy. You might as well throw a normal grenade. He's cursing you out. Common. Orbital strike. Hit this guy. I almost get downed by MG42 spray. Okay, very good spray on your end. Fantastic spray thing. Good aim, but as you can see here, it's kind of what I was talking about with the spray and affecting his aim. He has a moment where he outlines them, and it's almost on target. It's like right next to their head, but it's not, and that's probably because of the spray's increased fire rate and recoil. Or increased fire rate, which affects then also the recoil. Okay, so he sees a full squad here, or at least what seems to be 3 players. He does 2 things to prevent this. 1, he pulls out an implosion grenade. 2, he throws on the vampire. Vampire, fantastic choice, gives you a lot of healing and sustain during a fight, so you don't have to take time to get to cover and heal up, or use stuff like grenade. Missed the shot on this guy, and quick thing I'm gonna talk about to clarify a point I made in my previous video, the Tab G spectating too many grenades video. In there, I believe I said that throwing down an implosion grenade in the middle of the fight, if you do that, you should probably focus on the guy who isn't implosioned and take him out of the fight. This does not apply when you start a fight, because when you're starting a fight, you're taking advantage of the element of surprise, and you're capitalizing on that to render one of the enemies basically unable to fight back. If you can do that, that's fantastic, because then you can just run over, down him, and suddenly the enemy team is down a player. And you're also down potential damage that they would have gotten on you if you had just run up and shot him, because the other person can shoot back as you're shooting them. So, in this case, you should have run to the implosion guy and shot him, but okay. Epic hunt, fantastic pick. Launchpad grenade. Okay, now this is an example of how to do this right. He throws a grenade, he sees the people on the hill, wants to start a fight. But then when he does land behind his building, so even if they did see him and start shooting at him, they're gonna have a really hard time. Swaps off the spray. Immediately just absolutely starts shredding. So, yeah. Actually, hold on. I think he missed an implosion grenade. Oh, no, he didn't. Never mind. Okay, so he does seem to have this, the priority list thing that I was talking about beforehand, but still, it seems to be a bit inconsistent about what grenades he does and doesn't want. Having it just like written down somewhere and everything will help you a lot in your looting process. It also helps you see if it's worth it to loot something or not. Because if you pop open the inventory and you see like there's no grenades of interest, the blessings aren't interesting, you can just grab the ammo and leave quickly. You don't have to debate. You don't have to be debating, am I gonna need a knockback grenade? Am I gonna need a smoke grenade? Am I gonna need a cluster grenade over a bouncing grenade? Everything. If you just have a list set up, you're gonna be like, check mark, I want this. Check mark, I want this. No, 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 no. Okay, let's go. And you can save a good amount of time with looting. Well, actually, not just looting corpses, but also looting POIs. Alright. Because now the motorcycle keeps driving. A couple people on this hill here. Runs up. Absolutely guns this guy. Driving in a straight line towards somebody with a high-powered weapon is usually not a good idea. You're gonna want to take more of like a flank approach, but you take the high ground, flintlock, get a couple shots off. You throw the implosion grenade so that if they do try to get him, they can't. And he's gonna back off. This I like because what he's doing is that instead of just playing hyper aggressive, what he's doing is he's making a bit of room to force the enemy to make a decision of are they going to chase him, are they going to try and shoot him, or are they going to revive their buddy. And then what he does is that he throws the implosion grenade to limit their choices. Now if they did choose to go and revive their buddy, they're in a really bad spot. They didn't, so he decides to throw down a fire grenade. The fire grenade goes to wide, but he does manage to get the kill in the end. Alright. volley grenade on a dude standing still. Normal grenade. I'm pretty sure the guy who's stunned will end up getting killed. Well done. Good job. Yeah. Mainly, be careful of the blessings that you use with the guns that you use. VSS Thompson is a fine loadout, but spray does not work well with them. And then the grenade thing, I mean, it's not really that bad, but still, it should be something to keep in mind. Alrighty, we are back. Yeah, okay. Alrighty, this is the second game. This one is a lot more interesting, and it brings into effect, or the main thing here is this line, which is the be careful when making loadouts. You tend to lose value from a weapon / blessings. This one comes into play immensely here. It's like the key theme of this video compared to the previous one. Alright, so he's landing Finland. Alright, what did he get? Hand cannon, not the best find, but Thompson is good. Thompson is a solid find. So he knows there's somebody in shack. You can hear them reloading. Jump in here, hand cannon, and then you miss a bunch of shots. Honestly, you have this guy stunned and you have him low health. You can just kind of, you don't have to be jumping around here. Maybe he has an AA-12. Maybe he has, I don't know, a minigun or something like that. You don't know. But you don't have to be jumping around here. He's already low health. Standing, or like, staying on the ground to make sure you can actually hit your shots and get this kill instead of spending another 2, 3... I'm pretty sure it's about 17 seconds. It's 15 to 17 seconds. Getting that kill is pretty important. You jump up here, grab a bit more loot and everything. Manage to land a shot on this guy, and then you just fail to land any shots with the MP5K. Generally, don't start a fight with the MP5K. I know you started the fight with the flint weapons. If you're more experienced with the Tommy, which you clearly are, stick to the Tommy. And then you can use the MP5K if they get really close. UMP, okay. I'm pretty sure this is just temporary, because I personally do not recommend running 2 submachine guns. No, okay, actually, so hold on. This is part of what I was talking about before. In the last game, he intentionally did not grab snowstorm grenades and intentionally did not grab bouncy grenades. In this game, he is. There's a little inconsistency in the grenades that you pick and the reason that you pick these grenades. Now, obviously, he doesn't have a rifle here, but it's pretty easy to find a rifle, so he's probably going to have the same loadout as last time. So, either have a really good reason for why... Actually, hold on. Is that a grappling hook? No, it's a crossbow pistol. Okay, never mind. I thought that was a crossbow. That was a grappling hook in one of the previous takes of this. Okay, I would probably focus on finding a rifle if I was you. The UMP is good at range, but it's not. It does not compare to something like the AK, sadly. Okay, so you're gonna start looting the houses. Really big deagle. I forget if the big deagle is 1 or 2 slots. If it's 1 slot, throw it in your 3rd slot for the memes. If it's 2 slots, okay, I can see why you didn't take it. Pretty sure this is just looting. He finds 2 health analyzers, which is fantastic. A couple grenades he doesn't want. Katana. And this is where every single problem in this video starts. From the fact that he decides to take a katana. The katana is a pretty good weapon. It's got solid damage per swing. It's got a very convenient dash, perfect for mobility or closing distance on an enemy. Unfortunately, the katana is a melee weapon, and seeing as you cannot throw your melee weapons at people in this game, and there is no, like, homing as other games have for their melee weapons, you are sacrificing a lot, and I mean a substantial amount of firepower to to have a melee in one of your 2 slots. So what does this mean? Well, if you're sacrificing firepower in in your first slot, you have to boost the firepower in your second slot. This means that instead of taking something like a submachine gun, which let's say has an arbitrary value of 6, a firepower value of 6, you're gonna need something like a firepower value of 10, 11, which would be something like a machine gun. Like a strong multi-purpose assault rifle like the AK or the H1. You can go all in. You can like double down on the close range fighting, grab something like the A12, the blunderbuss. But something like the Tommy, which in fairness is a very good gun, but the Tommy is very general. It doesn't have the sheer damage output needed to be able to fight and take down a full squad, especially considering it's your only gun. You have the flintlock, yes, but the flintlock, from what we've seen so far, he uses a flintlock as a fight opener mostly. Impact grenade to force him out of the car. Pretty good. They are under the tree. FYI, he manages to get that guy, and then his buddy's over here. Yeah, as I said, fight opener. Now he's still going to get success with the combo, obviously, but it also comes back to bite him in the rear later on, and pretty badly. No, actually, it bites him about 4 times. Manages to get the kill on the first guy. Good shots. The katana dash is good, and then he manages to take out the last guy. And here is where everything goes absolutely terrible, because if you were paying attention about 3 minutes ago, I was explaining how you need a weapon that's reliable at all ranges and that has a very high amount of potential firepower output, such as a machine gun or one of the very deadly at close range guns, Glockinator minigun, machine gun, blunderbuss, A12, stuff like that. The VSS is not one of those guns. The VSS is it's basically an assault rifle with more stinginess on how it works. It has less ammo than the AK. It has slower bullets than the AK. It has less recoil, which is true. It has the same reload, actually, I believe. It's also incredibly large in terms of like gun model size. If you're running a lot of close range weapons, it's a good counterpart for something like the machine guns, because it takes small ammo, so you're not double dipping on ammo, which is a problem if you're using high fire rate weapon. Minigun, for example, chews through normal ammo, so if you have something like an AK with it, AK is almost never going to have ammo. But in this loadout, this is not the right weapon to use at all. Like, you might have experience with the VSS, but the sheer amount of damage that the flat amount of damage that the VSS can output just does not work with this loadout. If you were running something like the Tech 9 or a more reliable pistol in your third slot, maybe. If you're running I don't know, something else, but this combo as it is does not work, and we will see it not work about several times during the course of this match. So this is what I mean by be careful when you're making your loadouts. You've made a really big sacrifice by taking katana instead of a gun, and then instead of making up for that sacrifice of firepower and everything, you sacrifice even more firepower and then put yourself in a pretty bad scenario. And then the way you take fights later on makes this issue even worse, which is, if you were paying attention to Notepad, you will have seen it. So he's using the katana dash to get a bit of speed, get a motorcycle, heads over to industry, where there seems to be the ending of a fight. He doesn't see anybody, so he just leaves. Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah. Okay, no. nitpick here, you usually want at least one damaging grenade in your grenade slot. It would probably be better to have the splinter over the bouncy here, but you still want to have one in case you really do need to deal damage to an enemy or force somebody out of an area. Because mainly because there are scenarios where it really calls for it. So he gets a legendary ice. Fantastic blessing. Actually works pretty well with this loadout. You've gained a bit of firepower because VSS needs to hit shots. Ice makes it easier to hit those shots. Also makes the low ammo count a bit less of an issue. So you've gained a bit of firepower like this. However, another issue is that now that you have the ice, you have to keep the ice. And you can't swap out the ice because the ice is how you get kills. As I said before, you sacrifice firepowers, which means to get back to where you were before, you have to sacrifice a blessing slot. Which means if you have to have ice now to be able to get any kind of result, that means you now have only 2 slots left over for various blessings. And if one of those slots is reserved for speed, as most most skilled players tend to do, they tend to have one to 2 slots for speed blessings, and then the other 2 are kind of up in the air. This means that you are now down to 1 blessing slot for whatever other things you might need in your loadout. Also, this is just nitpick, but this storm does not work well with this build. Same issue as before. VSS does not shoot fast enough. Now, it is a bit more dated. And, as you will see in a couple of moments, you see this issue with his loadout almost immediately. You start off the fight. That is the wrong button. Okay, so you're chasing this guy in the car. Start off with a fight, flintlock. You miss because he's in the car and because of the statue. Okay. You then get close, land a couple of shots with a VSS, but you run out of ammo, and you have to reload. You land a couple more shots. Storm helps you here. But you don't have time to reload either of your only 2 guns, so you have to rely on the katana. And that means that he manages to land an extra shot. You are 1 BAR bullet from death. If he had gotten 1 extra shot on you, you would be dead right now. And if we consider the previous fights that Birb has had in the previous video and everything, he almost never went below like 50% health in the later stages of the game. Like at the start, yeah, and when he was fighting that Garand dude, yeah, but afterwards he was almost always above half health. He's down to 20 health now. And also, he's down to 20 health when he has a rare health blessing. If he had just a common health blessing, he would be dead right now. Basically, if you have a certain standard, which is you only take X amount of damage during a fight, and then suddenly you take 4 times as much damage during a fight, and you only win because of sheer luck. Not sheer luck, but you win by a very slim margin. There's something wrong with your loadout. Okay, he's going to heal up. Okay, so this is the guy from before. He's crawling over to his friend. And you managed to get a nice shot off. You're lucky that the other dude was not paying attention to you. Admittedly, he had a Mossberg and 2 auto pistols. So you would have been... oh, no. I think he had an MG. Right, because this guy's BAR is over here. Okay, so you might have actually died if the other guy was paying attention. But... okay, Vampire... Vampire over Storm, good decision. Still, big problem here. You only have 2 ways to get... 1 reliable way to get healing, and 2 ways flat out to get healing. Obviously, if you hit someone with a katana, you can get healing, but most of the time you're not in melee range, and getting into melee range makes you take more damage than the health you would get. VSS, your only reliable option, same issues as before. Small magazines, long reload. Decently long reload. Flintlock, same issue. 1 bullet, decently long reload. It's not reliable for healing. Now, if you found something like a regen or relax or something like that, would probably be better. But because Birb is I don't want to say try hard because that's a bit offensive, but at a level that would be considered try hard, most of them tend to rely on Vampire to win their fights. So you katana dash to get out of there. The other guy also has katana, crash land in. Quick thing here. Usually if you hear beatboxing, there's somebody around, so I don't do this because this is what we call, what we like to call pulling a dual rotor special, which is jumping down into the face of enemies. And if they were any more of a better shot, you would be in big danger right now. As you can see here, that is the Ice Blessing putting in work. It slows down the target, makes it easier for him to hit shots. It's boosting his firepower. Third on Cage Grenade. He has Katana A12, which would be a good example of his loadout. Unfortunately, the other guy can't hit shots, and you also have Legendary Ice and Vampire. Legendary Ice and a Vampire. There you go. Decent fight, but there were moments where you struggled a bit with aim and hitting stuff. So now we run into a bit of a dilemma, which is, what blessing does he give up for this hunt blessing? He can't give up the ice because it's the only way it's part of how he's actually getting kills. He can't give up the vampire because it's how he's healing, so he has to give up the rare health. Problem is, this means that suddenly he has 33% health to work, 33% less health to work with. And if we change the order of these fights, and this fight right here happened before the fight with BAR, you would be dead right now. Because yet again, this is not a good loadout. No. It's not a good loadout because you're making too many sacrifices from your weapon choices, and the weapons that you do pick afterwards to try and make up for those sacrifices don't mesh well with each other. Someone's shooting pot shots at you, and there's grenades going off. Okay. Start the fight with a fire grenade. You get machine guns. You get some health back, which is nice. And you manage to get this die. Nice. So I will admit, having Vampire there did actually save him, but still. Same thing before. He went down to 10 health here in pretty much the entirety of the previous game. He never actually went down to 10 health. If you are struggling in a game, there's probably something wrong with your loadout. Also, this is just taking advantage of the fact that you can hit that. Technically, you can hit bushes and trees and stuff like that, and they count as an enemy, so Vampire works on them. It's a bit scummy. As you can see here, loadout inconsistency. He grabbed normal grenades pretty much every single time in the past, or I suppose this is a grenade inconsistency. He grabbed grenades pretty much every single time he had them in the last game. This game completely misses them. Well, okay, he decides to go back for them, but still. No, actually, no, he does just miss them. And instead he grabs a knockback grenade. Which, ironically, the funny thing is that the normal grenade would actually be really good with this build as, like, a fight starter. So, yeah, sadly, this loadout is kind of doomed, destined to fail. Like, I'm obviously being really negative about this and saying that, like, he's having a good performance and everything, but just this poor guy just gets absolutely murdered. He's doing decently well, obviously. From what I'm seeing, he's a pretty good player and everything, but he's handicapping himself in pretty atrocious ways that are really simple things to fix, and with the amount of experience that I presume he has, these are not issues that he should be having, but they are issues that he is having. He starts to fight, does not actually manage to hit anyone. Shots over to DSS. Taser cage grenade. Nice. Manages to land this guy. Now in that case, that would actually be an example of when you do want to go after the down person, or the person hit by the implosion, because he's really low. And you do actually manage to take out this guy. Not bad. Not bad at all. Grab a couple of souls. Why do you have souls? Unless you're hoarding souls so enemies don't have them, you don't need souls when you're playing solo squads. Anyways, he's moving fast. There's 4 people alive. I'm not sure how many launchpad grenades he had. Let's see if he opens his inventory, because if he has more than 2 launchpad grenades, he should not be doing this right now. Does he open his inventory again? Oh no, he does, I think. He has 5. Okay. If you have 5 launchpad grenades, what you should not be doing is walking around willy-nilly, A, making yourself an easy target for anybody else, and B, spending time. You have launchpad grenades. What you can do is you can fly up into the air, find where the enemies are, and then land far away from them, and then just go and run at them with, like, 0 repercussions, because you still have 4 launchpad grenades in case things go south and you need to bail out of a fight. And which means, if you actually did that, that means, let's say he launchpadded right now. That means the next he gets the blessing. Let's say he landed directly on this crate. That's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 35 seconds you would have saved. And even if you decide to not go to the crate and go directly for enemies, that would be about 30 seconds that you would have saved. So you see, well, there's probably an enemy here. And this is where everything goes absolutely terribly wrong. Actually, I'm just going to let this play out. Decent shots. You get ice wall. This guy gets you. You get poisoned, and then you just get cooked. So from a strategy level, this is not ignoring the loadout. Well, no, it doesn't matter. This is just a terrible idea in general. You are basically going up into the air and basically into the face of what I'm guessing is a lot of enemy people, and your landing position, which is right here pretty much, has you literally with your back against the wall, and it's a pretty big wall actually, and it means that your only options to get out now are either to go to the side here, so either by this rock, which does offer some nice cover if you used cover, and he doesn't really, this car, and then this series of rocks and bushes over here. So yeah, flat out, this is a bad idea. Even if you had something like jumps, this is just a bad idea because you're basically exposing yourself willingly. You start the fight with gunfire instead of with an implosion grenade, which would be really useful here to be able to actually start a fight well. Well, you're cornered, you can't move backwards, and so what you have to do is you have to go up here. And the problem is that because your only actually reliable option to get a kill is your VSS, that means you have to spend a good amount of this time reloading and actually missing shots. Missing shots is natural. You spend a lot of time reloading. And so right here, when you're out of ammo, instead of having a secondary weapon to rely on, or actually instead of relying on grenades, which I will get to your lack of grenade issue problem later on, you will have, right now, you don't have a second gun to rely on. You have your flintlock, I believe, but that's going to take out one person, and this guy is sitting here with an MG and is about to absolutely torch you. So you have to swap your katana, but the katana is slow, and it takes a while to charge up the dash, and so you just kill over. So this is, and if you were using a slightly different loadout, there's a good chance you would have actually won this fight. What would have also won this fight is this little things here. The use grenades more section of this little notepad thingy, because you use pretty much very few grenades during this entire game. I don't know if it's because you just feel like it. I don't know if it's because you think your aim is much better than it statistically is. But if you in general use grenades more, grenades are cheap. Pretty much everybody has grenades. Even if it's something bad like a stun grenade, if you're not using those inventory slots for blessings or anything else, you might as well use them. However, if you're using a loadout like this, which, as I said before, you have to sacrifice firepower to make, you're sacrificing firepower, a lot of firepower by having this specific loadout, you need to make up for that firepower somehow. You do partially with the blessings that you have, but you also need to do so with grenades, because grenades are the cheapest way to gain an advantage in a fight. Now, obviously, it's a limited resource, but still, being able to just go, hey, I don't want this area to exist anymore with a fire grenade, or saying, hey, I don't want you to see this area, also you're slowed, with a snowstorm grenade. Hey, I want free healing when I'm standing in this circle and I can still shoot back and move around with a healing grenade, which you could have actually used, and if just in general you could have used that. Hey, I want to leave this fight with your launchpad grenade. All of those things you can do with grenades. So use grenades more, because otherwise you're just going to keep running into fights like this, and if you keep running loadouts like this, you're going to keep running into these issues, into these bad fights, and it's just an infinite cycle. So that's why you need to use grenades more. Is that if you have to make concessions because of the weapon choices that you're making, you have to make up for those concessions by doing something that's maybe not something that you like to do, like upping your grenade count usage. Anyways, that's the second gameplay. We're going to get to the third gameplay now. Alrighty, this is the third gameplay, and he technically sent me 4, but I'm only going to review 3, because otherwise it's going to be a really long review, and I don't really want that. Let's see if there's anything else, any other key issues. This is a smaller lobby, it's only 22 people, as you can see on the top right. So it is quite possible that he doesn't really get into many fights. BAR with Mossberg. UMP Thompson, I mean, this is actually a pretty decent loadout. You got Vector for close range, and then AK for long range. Yeah, I was a bit concerned for a moment. I mean, this is a pretty good loadout if you know how to use the Vector well. Yeah, it works. It's a bit ammo hungry, especially considering it's the Vector, which is uses ammo a lot. But yeah, and actually, no, as you can see here, this game he is using, and he did grab a normal grenade. And in this game, he's grabbing a snowstorm grenade. Now, it's probably because it's the start of the match, but still. Okay. Is there anyone here? I do not think so. Okay, so he does decide to leave. He goes to industry. Decent shots. Probably should have used your Vector, but yeah. If you have okay aim, the VSS does fine close range. I mean, it also helps if your enemy doesn't shoot back. Also, you need to reload, by the way. Oh, right, this is the cool thing. Yeah. Yeah, so fun fact, grenades actually have, like, physics collision with cars, which means that if you're in a car and you've, like, messed around with a grenade, you can actually get the car to flip back over. I haven't done it successfully yet, but I do know it is, like, it is doable, as we saw him do. So you're gonna crash the car. Someone to your right, I think. I mean, maybe? I haven't seen you aim with shotguns yet, so I don't know how good you are with them. If you can use a Mossberg well, then yeah, this is an okay loadout. If not, no, it's not. We go from bad to worse. Oh, he's probably using the crossbow because of lid beads. No, but still, no, it's just. I mean, the crossbow is incredibly powerful as a weapon, but just no, no, this is not a good loadout. This is. You're basically relying on You basically are relying on the fact that you can hit. You're basically gambling that you can hit a flintlock and a crossbow bolt in close range to actually kill people, and then that you have good enough aim at medium range with the VSS / they're standing still so you can crossbow them. This is. I thought I was having a bad time in the past when I had to deal with bee eaters loadouts, but this is something else. This is definitely a unique way to. Uniquely concerning, more specifically. Oh my god, he's going for trick shots. Okay, for future reference, if you're going to send these videos to me, for everybody watching, if you're going to send these videos to me, please try and not meme around in the games. Which includes stuff like crossbow trick shotting. Hey, so you remember when I said earlier that he was going to have struggles at close range because he's basically gambling that he can hit shots? Oh, well, look at that. He's suddenly out of a third of his health, and he's out of ammo with his VSS. It's almost like he's having trouble fighting at close range because none of his guns are suited to it. I wonder who this other guy is, because he's actually doing pretty well for what seems to be like a... Oh, Cadvic. Haven't heard the name. Yeah, no, he was giving whatchamacallit, Birb a serious run for his money. Well, I mean, it's a better loadout. And he still has lit beats, so he can squeeze a bit more range out of the Mossberg, but... I hope you can aim with the Mossberg, because otherwise this is going to be very, very, very painful for you in a short amount of time. He might actually win, though, because there aren't many people alive in this. There's still a lot of time left on the footage. Oh, you gotta... Summon rock? What? Okay, so the other guy knows what the summon rock spell is and he knows how to dodge it. Yeah, he's trick shotting with lit beats. Not bad. Was this guy running dual Mossbergs? What? I wonder about Tab G players. So you got this guy. This guy can't finish. Well, no, he actually did end up hitting Birb. Car VSS. This is actually, I mean, it's decent. You're gonna struggle at close range, especially against machine guns and stuff like that. Which means that you should probably drop the rock spell. Hey, well, look at that. That's Birb struggling at close range. Yeah, same thing as I said before. If you go from rarely going below maximum health with a loadout to going down to 10 health. It's not very well made. It's not a very good loadout. Anyways, there are 2 people left. Got the guy with summoned in rock. Damn. Okay, who's left? I'm guessing it's a new player and he's down. Oh my god, he has nothing. The guy has... Okay. And now he does have... What? So now he does have normal grenades? Oh, right, no. Yeah, I got the splinter grenade. Okay. Well, okay. Closing thoughts. Closing thoughts for this review. You're a pretty good player. You have solid aim, you've got good movement. Your weapon, your loadout design choices are frankly terrible, I'm gonna be honest. From the blessings that you pick to the gun combinations that you make. Well, not terrible, but they're really, really bad at times. So, like, just keep in mind what you're giving up when you pick weapons. If you're gonna run flintlock, that means you can't run a mobility item. If you're running a mobility primary, that means you're losing firepower. If you're running something like a VSS and everything, keep in mind that you're gonna struggle against close range guns like miniguns, machine guns, stuff like that. Just have that in mind when you're making a loadout. What else was there? Have some consistency with the grenades you're gonna pick. Make a list of your top grenades, the useful grenades, and then the grenades I want to avoid. And make sure that the list is very specific as to when and why you pick a grenade. If you're going to not pick smoke grenades when you're playing fast and then pick smoke grenades when you're playing slow, okay, good. But you need to stick to that, because otherwise what you're going to have is you're going to have a lot of inconsistency in how you play, which is a very big issue, because inconsistency means that your results are pretty much up to random chance. Some amount of random chance. What else? You really do need to use grenades more. Especially if you're playing with like a more meme / less powerful loadout like the Katana VSS one. Really, really need to use grenades more. What else? I mean, you have pretty good aim, obviously, that we've seen that, which makes me wonder why you're using the VSS out of all guns and you're not using something like the BAR. Like, the BAR and the MP44 and everything, they're not, most people don't like them. They're high powered, they do require good aim, but why not use something like the M14? If you have good aim and you can click semi-fast, the M14 is incredibly deadly. Incredibly deadly. Same thing goes with the not the MP40, but UMP. Use the UMP more. Like, we saw a bit of UMP gameplay, but use that more. If you have good aim, take advantage of that. That's probably your best skill aside from your movement, is your aim most of the time. So take advantage of that. Play with weapons and with loadouts that profit off of your good aim. Same thing, like grab a Grand, for example. Like, maybe you have a stigma against snipers, I don't know, but point is, if you have something that you excel at, take advantage of that and push that advantage all the way to its maximum. Anyways, that's going to do it all for this episode of Gears Planets Coaching. Thank you all for watching. If you guys want to be part of this, you can find my Discord down below. You can also email me, and you can also find me on Medify, one of the top video game coaching platforms. The link will be in the description. You can sign up and book a session, which might need to be changed because I have a lot of stuff this week, but we'll get to that. I'll get to that issue if it happens. Anyways, to everybody else, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Ciao!